Hello.
Yeah, how you doing, Coach?
Doing good.
Hey, when you see watch tape on 6'3", 230-pound Byron Brown, you see what he did as a freshman, one game against Tulsa, went like 24 for 26, 2, 1 on the ground. And last year, 3,300 yards in the air, and another 800 on the ground, 27 touchdowns, and 11 in the ground. This year, 8-foot throws, no picks. Can you believe he's still a teenager?
No. Can't believe it. So, big task, of course, So we'll see. That's why we play the game.
A dual threat guy like that, just how much pressure does it add on to your defense? Knowing, if passing not working, you break down and take up the field.
Anytime a guy can run the football, it's a little scary, When a quarterback is just a passer and he doesn't run, you can play. I feel like you've got two more hats than they got. But when a quarterback can run, you have to get that last hat involved in the run game, and then you're stretched a little bit thin in the passing game, the pass defense. So running quarterbacks always give problems, guys that can extend plays with their legs, and then he breaks a lot of tackles. You can see it in the Alabama game. And Alabama got big people, and he runs through some of their tackles. So it's going to be a tall task, and it all starts with stopping the run. You got to stop the run first, try to make them one-dimensional, try to make them throw the ball, and then go from there.
How much is your defense, you guys, throughout camp, having to go up against Cam? How much do you think that helps you guys in terms of the preparation for that?
Cam's different. Cam's a throw the ball type guy first. He extends plays to throw the football, not necessarily run. It's kind of Cam's last thing is to run the football, pull it down. I think this guy, if he goes through his read progression and it's not there, he's going to take off and run because he feels good about his running ability, and he's more like a running back, so to say. So they are different, but definitely Cam being able to be mobile in the pocket has helped us throughout camp.
How about their scheme and the way it'll stress you guys too? Because it seems like they go horizontal or wide.
Yeah, they're real wide like Baylor, Coach used to be at Baylor. They use every blade of grass. They're split really, really wide. They try to stretch you out as much as they can so they can run the football and they throw the vertical passing game. They'll go extremely fast, so you can't have calls that have a lot of words to them. So you've got to cut down on your words, and maybe one word says everything on defense. So we're working on that this week. It's hard to simulate. It's kind of like option football. You can have a plan and you try to make your scout team do it, but you can't get in rhythm and get the flow of it until you actually get in the game.
No disrespect to the last couple weeks, but is it a little bit refreshing for you and your guys to have a little bit more of a challenge this week and know that you're going to be in a real man's football game?
Every week is a challenge. We play against ourselves, so it shouldn't matter who you're playing against, what the level they are. If they're FCS, if they're Group of 5, if they're Power 5, if they're SEC, you are trying to perfect what you're doing on defense. You don't want to miss tackles. You don't want to give up big plays. So the opponent doesn't matter. We've never looked at it like that. It's just each week presents a different problem. So I've been that small dog before. So it's not about that. It's about perfecting and getting better each week, and that's what we're aiming to do.
I don't know exactly the breakdown of how often you guys approach 4 versus bringing more guys in blitzes, but it seems like your front four have been able to get pressure really well and get the quarterback on their own. How much does that help you, for you guys for coverage and just make kind of things work a little more easy for you guys?
It's always easier when you can rush 4 and not have to bring the 5th and 6th guy. You're able to play a little bit more zone that way, which we did a lot last week. We played a lot of zone. But sometimes in stopping the run game, 4 guys isn't enough, and you get to where you got to bring 5 with an extra hat. Our defensive line's doing a great job right now. If you could only rush 4 and stop the run and control the pass, I just rush 4. But sometimes it's not designed that way, especially with a running quarterback. You got to get a lot of hats involved getting to the football. But our D-line's done a great job, and they've really helped the back end because, we don't have a lot of snap counts on that back end, but we're getting more and more experience, and the D-line is really helping the back end get that experience.
Your first shutout as defensive coordinator at Miami, what have you been most impressed with this defense so far this year, and what areas do you want to see them continue to improve in?
I think our communication is really good. We haven't busted a lot of things, and we've faced 3 different types of offense, of course. The most impressive thing I think is when you bring in the guys at the end, your younger guys, and there's not that much of a drop off. You see a lot of guys being hungry, trying to get to the football, and I think that's the biggest difference between this year's defense and last. is at the end of the games who you're putting in and does the level drop off. Because last year we had a couple times we could have had a shutout. We put in some younger guys at the end and we gave up some points. So this year we didn't, of course. The last week we gave up some field goals. But I'm really impressed with this group. We just need to continue to get better each week.
Anything else for Coach Guidry?
How much, speaking about Byron Brown, how much do you work with the linebackers about making sure to not get caught at angles or anything if he starts to take off and run with it?
Our first day was today. So usually on today we work special situations, maybe some goal line stuff, some red zone stuff. We don't get really deep into schematics on today. Tomorrow will be more of that. And they'll watch the film and they know they can't overrun him, and they're going to have to bring their hat in hands and get a lot of people to the football because he's a big guy and he also runs well. So we'll have our hands full. I mean, he did well against Alabama, and I'm sure they expect him to do well against the Canes.
And I think before the season, you and I think Mario both talked about how you feel like you have what you need in the secondary, and how people were like kind of unsure about it, and you're like, oh, keep talking about it because they're going to be good. So far, they've been very good. So what have you liked from what you've seen from the DBs?
I think the most impressive thing is probably, we're without Brown. And we've had a freshman step up to give us kind of, some being solid at the corner. And we're playing different guys, and I think each week we'll get better. Throughout the season, we'll play against some really good wide receivers and some good quarterbacks. And so we need to continue to grow and continue to get better. We're not there yet by any means. But each year is a different year. And sometimes you go into a season, you think that you've got problems in a certain area, you might not be as good, and they might end up being a bright spot. So we'll coach them each week and try and put them in the best spot they can be in, and just keep trying to get better.
And speaking of OJ, just you kind of take me through that recruitment, because obviously he wasn't like the 5-star, everyone knows who he is, everyone's on him kind of guy. He was a little under the radar, played a lot of receiver at high school and stuff like that. I guess when you were evaluating him as a player at high school, what did you see that made him stand out as like, okay, this is a guy who can make an impact for us?
We saw on film that he was a good player. We didn't know how big he was. I hadn't seen him in person with my eye. He came to a camp over the summer before his senior year, and he locked up everybody, and we kept bringing guys over across. He was going up against different wideouts, and we'd kind of say, hey, go against that one, go against that one. And he wouldn't bat an eye. It didn't matter if it was a deep ball post, go route. And I was impressed with the way he looked back for the ball, and he didn't panic. And of course, we got him to commit, and he don't even come through spring football with us. And he gets here this summer, and you really can't do anything too much with him in the summer. You're just going over scheme, and then you go into fall camp, and he's going against our wide receivers, and it's like he's been here for a couple of years. So that was really, really impressive. And I told Coach Jackson, I said, that's going to be the one right there. He's got a chance. And sure enough, he worked his way into a starting role. So you never know. I mean, sometimes you project a guy out of high school to be a great when he gets here and he ain't what you thought. And sometimes it's a guy just like OJ, because you can't measure what's underneath inside that chest. And he's got that, he's got this. So really good football player.
Seems like USF is going to challenge any defense to tackle in space.
Sure.
How do you feel like that's gone for you guys through the first 3 games?
I think we've tackled well in space. Florida was a good test, of course. Each week's a good test, but we've had to tackle in space, and you really don't know coming out of fall camp how you're going to tackle. Because I thought the first scrimmage we tackled were very poor, probably the worst since I've been here. And then the second scrimmage we actually tackled well. So going into Florida, I was a little worried because we'd only tackled twice, and we tackled well. So each week it seems like we're getting better and better. But we'll be challenged this week. We'll have to make some good tackles, and their wide receivers are strong with the football. So they'll break tackles. They're good after the catch. So we'll have a tall task, but we got to just run to the football and get a lot of hats.
I want to ask you too about 2 of your young guys that flashed a little bit against Ball State, Malik Bryan and Popo.
Yeah.
How do you feel like they played?
Malik's been getting better and better since I've been here. And I think he's found his home at the Jack, and he played really fast. He still has some down days and up days, but I think he's trending in the right direction. And Popo, I've been seeing it through this camp. He's probably the most, I think, probably as the young guys, probably the one that's probably gotten the most, out of the camp. And he's gotten better, and he's made a bunch of strides. And Popo's going to be a really good football player. So those 2 guys, I think, are trending in the right direction. They'll play meaningful snaps this year.
Dylan Day's flashing on special teams.
Yeah.
How's he doing on defense?
It's always good when you can play young guys on special teams, because you can only get them so many reps in a game, because you got some of the older guys that are playing, so they don't get as many snaps at practice. So special teams is the way you evaluate young guys. If you have a bunch of young DBs or young linebackers that weren't starting on special teams, you probably have missed on the evaluation. When those guys are making plays on special teams, that means that guy's gonna be a player. So that's how I always kind of looked at it, you know. So he's trending in the right direction, made a big hit, he can run. Zaquan's on special teams, those guys are doing really well. A bunch of our young guys are doing well. Hayes had a big hit the week before, so I like when the young guys are on special teams. That means you've got the right guys in the program.
And Dylan, is he a safety long term?
Yeah, he's a free safety. He's playing more of the free. I think that's what he is. He's kind of a cover free safety guy that's got range and can tackle. So he works on the scout team and he works with us on the defensive side. He works behind Markeith. So you got Mish, Markeith, and him, and then at the boundary safety you've got, of course, Harris and Zaquan. So he's kind of the fifth guy that we rotate. Doesn't get a ton of snaps, but he's getting a lot of mental snaps.
Akeem Mesidor was very eager to get back on the field. What is his attitude right now, and how are you actually using him on the field?
He's playing a lot inside, played a little bit outside. He'll probably play a little bit more outside this week. You know, he's been close to a lot of sacks. He hadn't been there, even on that interception. He was trying to get back to get the interception, but it fell to Elijah. He's been close on a lot of plays. I still don't think he's in game shape yet. Through fall camp, he probably, I don't know how many snaps he took, but he didn't take a lot of snaps each day. But now we're getting through a couple games. He's starting to get in game shape. I think his best football will probably be midway. I think we'll see the old Mesidor, but he's getting really, really close to where he was.
The intensity that Elijah Alston brings, did he show that to you at Marshall too?
Oh, yeah.
Was he that type of guy?
Yeah, when I was there, when he was a freshman, a redshirt freshman, he had beaten out an older guy that year, which we thought was a really good football player, and he beat him out. Elijah got hurt in the bowl game against UL Lafayette, had a high ankle sprain. The next year he came back, he was a little heavy, and he was still kind of hurt from that ankle. So his sophomore year, my last year there, he didn't play as well. And then my first year here at Miami, last year with him at Marshall, he played really, really good. He kind of went back to how he was, and then now he's even better. So I always knew he could run, had a great gift of bending off the edge. He could do so many things. He can drop in coverage like a linebacker. He's like a true jack. He can be an outside linebacker or rush the passer. I mean, he's spying quarterbacks, going to get him, and he's picking off balls. So, very talented kid, you know. But yeah, he's what I thought he was going to be.
That versatility that you're touching on, that's different year over year, right? Compared to what you had last year. Did you have a guy like
Nigel was kind of like that. He was kind of more in that mode, you know. But he was younger, of course. But that's kind of more that jack position. You know, when you got Bain, Mesidor, and Tyler in there, they're more like true ends, so you don't drop them as much in coverage. But Elijah, you can do a lot of things with. It's really whatever personnel you got, what you can do.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.